RWBY Volume 8, Episode 7, War. So this is not only the mid-season finale, but I just found out before doing this review that this is actually episode 99. So even though, unfortunately, we have to wait until February for the next episode, the very next episode of RWBY is going to be episode 100. So I'm hoping that that's like a really cool, spectacular, 100th episode celebration type of thing. Not clip show style, of course, but I hope we get something really good. I would assume so. This episode was alright, but admittedly for it being the mid-season finale, I was disappointed. Like, they did some cool stuff for sure. Like, specifically, my favorite thing had to be the fact that they showed that Ren's abilities have actually developed. Like, his semblance is no longer just he can suppress fear. He can actually see everyone's different emotions. And I like the way they did it, too, with the petals, which also kind of changes the little thing in the opening, because they didn't show pink. Like, they show, like, obviously red was anger, and then blue I would assume was sad, like the generic colors that they represent. So I would assume blue is sad, red is anger. Winter just had like every freaking emotion going on, so she's just like impossible to read. But I would assume that kind of comes from leadership. So she's got like, I'm scared about this, I'm angry about that, I'm like all that different stuff. So maybe the petal in the beginning of the in the actual opening just represents love. Like he'll eventually see Nora, and then that'll just kind of settle everything. Like as soon as she sees him, it'll be pink or whatever, and then that'll represent love. So that could be it. That could be it. It still could be like the whole death thing in the spring maiden type stuff with the blossoms, but we shall see. But that was really cool. I was like, all right, I love that. The rest of the episode, they did some other cool things. They're like, here and there, we got some minor good points. Unfortunately, one of the bad things is like, they haven't done anything with Mercury for a minute, and I didn't expect anything big from him. But I was like, dang, he's going off with Tyrion. I was like, they're not coming back. So, Mercury's gone until the next volume, I'm sure. I would love it if I was wrong, and then somehow they ended up coming back for whatever reason. But they're being sent off, I want to say they're being sent off to Vacuo or something. I feel like they mentioned Vacuo somewhere in this episode. I don't remember. I watched it like earlier this morning. But he's gone now, and so he leaves with Tyrion, which is unfortunate. Like, who wants to be with Tyrion in general? But another big moment, and this is another one of the good things about this episode, Emerald finding out the truth, I thought was really good, because it was like, okay, so she's leaning up against the door, Hazel is beating the F out of Oscar, or technically Ozpin at the time, and so they switch, and Oscar's like, hey, Jen is her name. All you gotta do is, say it to the lamp, and she'll pop right out. You can ask her whatever you want. There's one question left. I'm telling you the truth. They basically found a way to convince Hazel, like, he's gonna turn. Like, there's no way he's not gonna flip, because he's like, I tried to not be on Salem's side. I killed her a bunch of times, which I actually thought was really good, too. So that whole segment, I think that segment and then just Ren having powers were, like, the best parts of the whole episode. Like, that whole explanation where he's like, I did go against her, and I killed her quite a few times, and she just kept popping up, and it's like, well, once you see it with your own eyes, it's kind of like, well, she's unstoppable. And it's like, but she's not unstoppable. She can be killed. Unfortunately, like, the one way that she can be killed that we truly know of would also kill the entire planet. It will wipe out all of Earth. Like, she wants to die, but she wants all of us to go with her. So it's like, all you have to do is ask the question. He's like, okay. So we'll see what Hazel does. He'll probably end up turning. Emerald finds out the first person she tells is Mercury, which I thought was really cool because they actually have a good connection. And so he's like, that's crazy. She doesn't want to destroy the world. And Tyrion's just like, yeah, she does. And so he just I was like, yeah, she wants everything dead. Like, he's, he's just chaotic neutral, I guess. And he's just like, yeah. Or really, he's chaotic evil. So he's just like, yeah, she's going to do that. And it's going to be sweet. We'll all die. So it's like, oh, okay. And so, Mercury, I think, is going to be cool when he comes back. Because, like, they have that little thing where he gets shoved into the little airship. And he kind of looks at Emerald. And he just gives her a nod, like, okay, like, that's how I interpreted it, at least. It was like, all right, I know what I said last time about not following Cinder, but at the very least, I'm with you. Like, however this ends up going, we're good. Like, things are going to work out between us. If you're with Cinder, then I guess I'm with Cinder, because I don't want to die, and I'm not going to help someone completely wipe out the entire planet, because I'm on the planet. So I think that's how that'll change. He'll end up turning, and he'll end up siding again with Cinder as well. Once again, he's leaving, so sadly, there he goes, off into the wilderness of cooler stories, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe he'll get to actually fight at some point. So sadly, he's gone. I would assume for the rest of the volume. But that was a good moment. I was like, all right, I like their connection. It seemed like they had a bit of a moment where, like I said, that little nod was just like, okay, I know I wasn't with Cinder, but I'm with you. So he's gone, but it doesn't matter for now. So we'll see what happens with that. And I don't think we even saw Neo in this episode. But once again, I'm sure she doesn't give a crap about Salem. And I don't know. Cinder treats her like crap. Salem treats Cinder like crap. Who the F knows? Neo might just seriously just go rogue and be like, I'm just going to leave everybody. I don't know what Neo's really going to do. But I like how they handled that. I am excited to see what happens because Emerald could easily just go straight to Cinder next. Like, she told Mercury first. And above anything else, that kind of surprises me. But I'd like to see what happens if she ends up telling Cinder that. Because I would assume Cinder doesn't really know that. I mean, who does? I don't think anyone actually knows that except for maybe Tyrion, because clearly that's Tyrion's thing. He's like probably the most loyal person out of anybody on the villain side is probably Tyrion. So who knows? Who knows? I guess is the best way to put it. Who knows who actually knows the truth about that? Obviously Hazel doesn't, and Mercury and Emerald didn't. Cinder may or may not know, but I would assume not, considering how she gets talked down to. She probably doesn't know anything. So that'll be exciting to see, hopefully. And then we have Nora actually ends up getting some help. Like, Whitley ends up calling in the butler. I forgot his name, of course. But Whitley did something cool. And was like, okay, cool. And so they have a little bonding moment. And Weiss ends up hugging Whitley. He's like, I didn't do it for you. And then that's what she says. That's why it means so much more to me. So I thought that was actually a cool little moment. And then they have, of course, the real crazy moment. Like, the overarching thing of this whole episode, which is just the pure chaos of this giant whale just oozing out Grimm. And it's just like, okay, so they're definitely screwed. They don't have nearly the defenses to do anything to take out all these Grimm. They're just kind of all lined up, just waiting to get taken down. And that's pretty much what happens. It's like, okay, we're going to shoot here. We're going to have our little robots. They're going to get knocked out by elephants. And that's just like, they're just getting destroyed. That's pretty much all that's happening. They have to make a call. And it's like, all right, we're going to evacuate the whole town. Or the whole city, really. So everybody escape. And that's pretty much it. And the funny thing I noticed, during that scene when Ironwood had to like make that announcement, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, they really are rich. Because the defenses went down, and it still took like a decent chunk of time before it was like, oh crap, things are really bad here. And I was like, wow, they must be rich, because there are people, they're just like, oh, let's have lunch outside, and the dude's having a picnic with his daughter and stuff. And I was like, it really is just like all the rich people, because that's what it's like when it's super crazy and chaotic down below with all the poor people. All the rich people, they're literally, in the sky at this point. And it was just like, it was nothing. It was just a normal day for them. It was just like, oh man, sucks what's happening down there. And then they just pop out a newspaper and they start reading. And I was like, huh, they really are rich. Like that, I don't know why, but for some reason, seeing them so calm and peaceful after basically the whole last volume, seeing those people just sitting out and just chatting it up and having lunch, and this dude having a picnic with his daughter, like, oh, it's just a nice sunny day. I was like, that for some reason, that one scene really made me get like that dichotomy. I knew that's what it was already, because like they technically showed it even with like Weiss's family. They clearly show that sort of stuff. But for some reason, that specific scene just hit me really hard, and I was like, man, there wasn't a remote sense of anything outside of the norm until he made that announcement. And then, of course, they were panicking. They were all like ants in that giant wide shot, and everybody's just like running into the tunnels. But before that, it was just like, wow, there's nothing. It's peace. Everything is just nice and peaceful for them, and that was it. And then, of course, things were super chaotic. And I was like, holy crap, there's Grimm coming in, and everything's buck wild. So everything's bad. Everything's horrible. They're going to blow up the whale, so that's what the Aesops is supposed to do. And then John's like, hey, how about I have an actual plan? What if we go in and sacrifice ourselves? They aren't going to die. We'll see. I doubt they'll die. But, hey, we'll go in. We'll be kind of your first team. We'll be like the Alpha team or Bravo team, because Bravo team is always the one that loses. So we'll go in first. We'll see what happens. We'll try to get Oscar out, and we'll let you know kind of what's going on the inside. And then you guys can go ahead and do the bomb. But we can't just blow it up and kill Oscar, which would also kill Osmond. Like, admittedly, I don't know, considering everything that Osmond has done, it probably wouldn't be that big of a loss. So, like, he keeps so many secrets anyway. I guess it doesn't really matter if he dies, because he wouldn't share them anyway. But it was an interesting moment, because and I said it before, I'll say it again. I try not to bring it up every episode, but they're constantly just like showing scenes where it's like, oh, oh, you guys don't care about this or care about that. And it's like, we wouldn't be here if they weren't keeping secrets. I think they even had a moment like that in the house, which is why I have Weiss here, because like Weiss and Ruby had that was like, there are no sides and stuff like that, where they're talking to Marigold, and I didn't realize this because it was like 2 volumes ago, so I don't remember people. the one dude that Weiss was annoyed by was actually her brother, and we find out that she's transgender, and so that's why her family abandoned her, and so she doesn't give a crap about Atlas because the people up there don't care. Which, like I said, that one scene where it's like, oh, they're just having a picnic. It was like, yeah, they should probably, the people in Mantle probably could use the help a little bit more, and they are probably more appreciative of it. But they're already in Atlas anyway, so I was kind of on Weiss's side. I was like, there's no point in going back to the other part. I was like, this is where like the main attack is. You should probably stay where the main attack is anyway. If it was just like another thing, I'd be like, okay, you can kind of pick and choose like this battle or that battle. But when the giant whale, like the main ship comes into attack, it's like, we should probably stay where the main battle is going to be, because going down to Mantle isn't really going to do much to help anybody when Salem's like, the full assault has officially launched. Like, you need to stay where you're at this point. So I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with Weiss on that one. And then RWBY was like, there are no sides. And this is the woman who's like, you can't trust Ironwood. The whole planet now feels that way. So I was like, I think there are sides. I feel like you were picking sides before. And then, when the Aesop's conversation came in, same thing. Yang was the one that was mad at them. And then John came up with the plan. And they're like, you can't just sacrifice 3 people for one person. And then Ren was like, yes, you can. And of course, they're in their very emotional state, and like he's going through some stuff, which is really why he's in this state. Like, he had the most epic logical moment in the whole series, I think, where he was like, we're just kids. RWBY is just a freaking kid who doesn't know anything, and we are people who follow her who still don't know anything. So he had the most logical moment in this season so far, and probably, like I said, probably the whole series. But with everything that's happened with Nora and then them losing Oscar, is like, he's not really in his normal mindset. And even Harriet mentioned that, I was like, I always pegged you as the most reasonable one of the bunch, but I guess you're just a fool like everybody else. And I was like, I like that scene because she paid attention. Like, that is Ren's character typically, but this is a different version of him. Like, he's in a very different headspace than he usually is. Like, he's very upset, even though he's calm about it. He's still super upset, which I like. I like the difference in the evolution of his character, so a bit of development there, aside from just an advancement on his powers. But I like that scene, and once again, everyone on the Team RWBY side of things was like, okay, they're arguing with them, like, we can save our friend. It is worth it to sacrifice, 4 people. And it's like, it's not, though. I know where they're coming from, because obviously it's the whole emotional thing, and, they even have that whole speech where it's like, the reason you guys lost is because you kind of cut off your emotions about each other, so you never really meld as a full unit. And it's like, okay, sure. But even then, regardless of feelings and this and that, the facts are, the planet, or like 4 people, they were making some good points. And I'm like, yeah, technically speaking, you don't sacrifice like 4 people, or you don't wait for like the big plan. But obviously the story has to play out, so they're going to let them go in. They will either succeed or somebody's going to die. Odds are Hazel will turn by the time they get in, so he'll help them get back out. Cinder might end up helping them as well, simply due to the fact that she probably wants to turn on Salem, if she's even there. I think Cinder's actually gone. I think she's going to be headed towards Weiss's mansion, because now we see Penny by the end of this episode. So I think that's kind of where that's headed when we come back for the mid-season premiere. I think that's what we should expect. I think we're going to have another big battle with Cinder, and then Penny, being in her weakened state, she's going to need the rest of the team to kind of help defend her. So I feel like that's how that's going to end up playing out. So I'm kind of excited to see it. Who knows what's going to happen, but this episode, that's kind of what I was hoping for. I was like, I hope something crazy happens. I thought we were going to get like an epic cliffhanger, and then it just ended, and it was just a normal episode. Like, Penny crashed out of the sky, so I was like, oh, Penny woke up, so she rebooted, and then she crash landed. So I was like, that's cool. I didn't expect that. And the way she crashed, the first thing I thought was, oh, she woke up and then she got into another fight with Cinder, and she wasn't prepared because of the whole reboot system, because she looked really beat up. But obviously that was just from her basically falling to the ground like a comet. But we'll have to just wait and see what happens. But I am excited for the mid-season premiere. I hope it's far more bombastic than this one. It was a good episode, but like I said, it wasn't like, holy crap, what a cliffhanger. It just kind of ended like a normal episode. And I was like, oh, I was expecting, gotta wait basically 3 months. And I was just like, oh, I was hoping for something big. But would love to know your thoughts on the mid-season finale, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, theories, hopes, predictions for the mid-season premiere. Who will live? Who will die? Will Mercury return? I highly doubt it. I wish he could fight some more. He's actually one of my favorite people, but ever since Volume 3, I was hoping that wouldn't like really kick in. But ever since Volume 3, he's kind of just been like on the back burner. So maybe. I doubt it, but who knows? But we'd love to know your thoughts on what we should look forward to in the mid-season premiere. And of course, want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.